Hi, I'm Fred Slattern. This album is King of the Delta Blues by Robert Johnson, and he recorded it in the 1930s, and he was murdered at the end of the 1930s by the jealous husband of a lover. And he's one of my favourite singers, and I have this ridiculous idea that even though he's singing in the 1930s, he is actually speaking directly to me. Strings taut, foot tapping, a quick cough, and the voice straining at a leash, tense with maybe a single chance to snatch that feeling from deep within before that 2 minutes magic is lost to the ether or laid down, recorded forever. The rhythm rumbles relentlessly, thumb and fingers wrestling with the bass line, and the accompaniment to the voice is woven by 8 fingers dancing over 6 strings. And decades later, its echoes rattle inside someone's head. Thousands of miles away, a young man, searching for something, an unknown but welcome guest, is making itself at home under his skin. The young man's brain tells him to stop being so precious because he's so sensitive. But he's young and hungry, and his gut hears and feels the faintest sound. Maybe on a distant radio, maybe buried in a song, maybe just a feeling deep, deep, deep inside. And he's shifted, permanently displaced from the happy world of the top 20 pop records. And there's disco here, there and everywhere. None of it fits with the boy. He's no dancer, he doesn't care. No jiving under flashing lights like some grotesque dancing bear. He yearns to be moved away from this throbbing throng by the magic of another music and the conjure of a different song. The little blues man from the Essex Cone Delta stumbles as his youth club disco dancing career crumbles. Religion's not for him, there's nothing on the telly. He's well fed but soul starved, though there's food for the belly. On a journey to some darker, deeper country. His dreams are kept in a mystery box of blues. A dirty dog, best kept out of the house. A rough beast, unkempt but honest, with nothing to lose. A treasure chest buried by his guardians, but it's calling him from the depths. A haunting, demanding distraction from a life of conformity, a mortgage and debts. The 20-year-old Essex blues boy is taking the long route home. Old Beatles and Beach Boys on the radio, but the boy's ear is tuned to earlier times. A 12-inch square of cardboard under his arm, enclosing a vinyl disc that for him was the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Essex blues boy is following an initiation process, and today would be an immersion. Robert Johnson, King of the Delta Blues. The needle has dropped into the track. The session has started and there's no way back. And another 40 years on, I'm still searching, though I've found some answers. Thank you. Yeah, House of Commons. If you look at who's in there, there's a lot more men than women. There's a lot more white people than black people. There's a heck of a lot of middle-aged men, and most of them are middle class or upper class. So actually, I'm all right because that's my demographic. Well, you're wrong, because I'm not happy with they don't represent me, although I actually fit their demographic. So this is a sonnet, and it's called, If Middle-Aged Men Run the Country, How Come I'm Not in Charge? And this is me addressing these people there in the House of Commons. These men, they stand above us all on benches, so pleased to join their club of power, old men. The words they say our rulers debate, its stenches, while we outside in hope we wait. And then? The screech, the neighs, guffaw, the jeers, the boos, the brays, the yays, mocking, the cheers, the bile. They say they hustle, we vote, and that we choose. You act the fool, the oaf, the clown, the child. Although I'm old and male and you are too, don't think that you for me and mine speak out. The left and right a beast elite for who? We yearn for change, for help, for truth, no doubt. Middle-aged men, you had your chance, step by. Stand down, give up, withdraw, move on, we cry. Thank you. I actually won a prize for this a couple of weeks ago. I was over at First Sight at Hunt and Darton Cafe on Friday night. They had an anti-slam where they announced in advance they were going to give a prize for the shittiest poem of the evening. And I thought I might do okay with my normal stuff, but I actually wrote something that's even worse than normal, so you're going to hear it now. This is about my wife, Doreen. She's a big lady, and I call her Chunky Doreen for reasons that will be pretty obvious. Chunky Doreen, she's chameleon with the characteristics of a camel. Corinthian, she plays a part called Ian in Coronation Street. A carrot couture, a well-dressed orange vegetable. There's no rhyme with orange, unless you change it to orant, which rhymes with abhorrent. Chunky Doreen, vent my spleen, invent my spiel, reinvent my appeal, reinstate my recipe, recover my jollity, cover my wheel. Hey, Mr. Zimmerman, with all your wealth and fame, I've lent you my ears and now lend me your Zimmer frame. You're getting all the tracks off the album, are you, everybody? Yeah, good. Chunky Doreen, there's bacteria in the cheese, flowers are composting in the vase, and yoghurt's got cultures, there's mould in the jam jars, the turkey carcass has been picked by vultures, and is there life on Mars bars? Wait a minute, there's a postcard here. It's to Andy Warhol. It's from Glencoe in Scotland, look. Postmark is the 13th of February, 1692. Any historians here? We'll see. Dear Andy, we're having a party with the McDonald's. The Campbells are coming to supper. We're anticipating a super time. The Campbells are bringing the booze. I expect we'll all get slaughtered. Glencoe massacre. Okay. No, okay. Lou Reed. Oh, baby, now what's got into you? The MP's £39 breakfast, that's well good fare. We're 2 missed paychecks from the welfare. Take a look at the straw man who never takes the can, plummeting from on high, beating up the wrong guy, the food bank's not for show. I wonder if he'll ever know I'm starving for me gravy. Acrylic and sackcloth, never a good combination in my book, for clothes or for paintings. Sorry. I do know it's a bad painting, all right? So you don't have to be kind. Chunky Doreen, the new broom sweeps clean, unless it's dipped in treacle first. Brush with death, brush with paint, this old master, painting disaster. It's a source of esoteric knowledge, with its ghostly ghoulish head emerging from a bowl of porridge. Like German sausage, this painting is the worst. Chunky Doreen, and all you pretty things, thanks for all your listenings. Thank you. There's been a lot going on over the last couple of weeks, really, isn't there, in the news, you know, stuff happening in Paris and Nigeria, and then I thought about writing a poem about the sort of page 3 situation and different views on that, and then I got sort of a bit angry about the continuing campaign against First Sight in the local paper and pretending it's closed when it's still open and all this kind of thing. And I was in there the other day, and I was chatting to one of the gallery assistants, and I sort of asked him, you know, what you're doing at the moment when you haven't got any pictures to sort of guard, you know, from slashers and people like that. And he's actually working as an assistant at the cafe, Hunter Dutton Cafe, which I recommend to you. And this is for James Sarek. See James Sarek? He's jolly. He's no Dolly Parton. He's a trolley dolly at Cafe Hunton Darton. Right, now I've got a serious one now, you know, so no laughing at this one. It's about the breaking down of a relationship 15 years ago. And it's a little bit of Ophelia in here, because I saw a picture about that once. And this is called To Leave the Riverbank. Holding tight, I creep along the bow, scared and excited, wondering how I've come to leave the riverbank. Find dust puffed into the air when we brushed each other aside, with the lightest of barely felt taps, but resonating deep inside. Dismissed, not missed, a fog, a damp dog, a footstool, a log, fools to be tolerated, our ideas berated. We'd become surplus, redundant and irrelevant. Gnawing at our confidence, nibbling at our self-esteem, bending but not broken, my capable heart searching for a glimmer or a gleam, scared and excited, wondering why, holding tight, I creep along the beam. I've come to leave the riverbank and find myself dangling above the stream. Shinning along the bow, the wood bends and creaks as the vapours clasp tight, and it's fight or flight, and I've the stomach for neither. But standing still is not an option. And the bow bends again, and my head's in the fen. I'm numb and can't speak, and my butt's in the creek, and I can't crawl back, no more to backtrack. The bow begins to splinter as spring unfurls from winter, and the river's calling me, offering me solace, embracing my discomfort without a hint of menace. Come leave the riverbank, come leave the riverbank. As the bow bends down, will the water keep me sound, or will I slide beneath the surface, unseen, entangled and drowned? Does the branch break? Do I slip or leap? Will it refresh me, or will it be eternal sleep? Enveloped in its iciness, a shocking jolt to waken me as I give myself to the water gods and trust in fate's delivery. And though it's icy in here, to the riverbank no return, the liberation of the moment and the fresh start that I yearn. Thank you. And the last one I'm going to do is about racism. And my great-grandfather arrived in Marlborough about 1890, and he was from Ireland. And from that point, when he arrived in Marlborough and joined the British Army, he tried to pretend he wasn't Irish. And I don't know if it's because he was ashamed of being Irish, or he'd been subjected to racism, or what. It was a subject that was never really talked about in the family. So anyway, this is called Celtic Britain First. Obviously, you'll get the theme pretty soon. No more foreigners, Britain first, you make me choke with your anti-immigrant slogans and your reasoning up in smoke. Britain first, let me tell you how it is. You're way out of line, you're over the top. Despite your xenophobic views, you're just an Anglo-Saxon fop. Us ginger Celts were here first, you're the ones acting like lords. We Iron Ages, the purebred homeboys, and you're the mongrel hordes. First it was the Romans with their plumbing and their heating. We prefer to shit outside, not indoors where we're eating. Next it was the Christians with their man who walks on water. We prefer our multiple gods along with ritual slaughter. Then the Danes and Jutes, us Celts couldn't hold back the tide. Though give him his due, good King Canute, he tried. Then worst of all the Angles and Saxons, the Central European races. We prefer our daubs of woad on our Celtic pattern faces. Later came the Normans, who were really just Vikings in disguise. Don't worry, us Brits aren't Frenchmen, another race for first to despise. And so, for 1,000 years, Britain first says we've been undefeated. They say we should loathe everyone else and that our purity must not be depleted. It's been wave upon wave of invaders along our eastern seaboard. So if my rhetoric strikes a chord, let me tell you, Britain first are the ones from abroad. Britain first with your Anglo-Saxon heritage. You're the foreigners on our shores. As far as us Celts are concerned, we'd like to show you the exit doors. So stand up for who we are. Don't join the Britain First herd with their anti-Muslim mantras and the loathing of Europe absurd. Our lesson from history teaches we're a hodgepodge of invaders and slaves. With our roundhouses, wood, woad and baggy breeches, it's Celtic Britain first, the rest are new waves. We don't need your newfangled civilization, religion, central heating or fancy clothing. Give up on your Britain First horse shit and your exhibition of first-degree self-loathing. Thanks very much for listening.